that's what I said in the post game. I'm like, you know what? If we can play like that and still win, then that's fine. But yeah, it's no, no, thank you. But then Bully said he's like, that's probably been the biggest issue in recruiting this year. Good opposition, we're good, but then you play against not quality, which is a standard trying to think. Well, yeah.
But if you change out, it's like I put 16 in, I'm just going to go and put the 11.
One more yellow, please. Hello and welcome to the Dragon's Lair, the home of Old Georgians Hockey Club here at St George's College in Weybridge, Surrey, for the visit of the University of Exeter. I'm Simon Mason. I'm delighted to be part of the streaming project commissioned by the club and brought to you by Galvanised Media. Both teams come into the match having played 3 games in the first part of this split season. The pre-Christmas period sees everyone play everyone once, with the league splitting in 2 after the festive break, and the top and bottom halves playing for the spoils of league titles and European places, and the bottom half for their survival. Old Georgians come into this game off the back of a loss, win and draw. The win at home a resounding 8-0 versus Durham, and so that's the form they'll hope to replicate against the student side today. For the University of Exeter, it's been 3 straight losses so far. The most painful probably last week against Premier League new boys Oxted, against whom they'd probably have expected to take the points. Past form suggests that Georgians will have the history to come out on top, but Exeter do have a longer Premier League status, and that could be vital. We managed to catch up with them during the course of this week to hear their thoughts on their pre-season and their season so far.
Pre-season was good. Tough with injuries, like the boys. The conditioning level of the boys because of COVID hasn't been good. So we knew the boys had some injuries, but actually results went really well. We're blessed with amazing forwards, and bringing Griffin definitely gives us that little, a deeper option. A guy that has unbelievable hands as well. The first couple of times we saw him play, we just couldn't get over how good his hands were and what he was doing. So he was superb. Great to bring Jimmy Carson back in. Worked with him a few years ago. good addition to the squad, desperate to learn, desperate to work hard and obviously do well with his Wales stuff. And Nick Page, so he's been a great addition as well, so all good guys.
Pre-season this year has been long. I think Mike's deliberately done that, but then it's been fantastic, kind of the mental health, the cohesion of the team. It's been something that, with what we've gone through, getting sport back is such a crucial thing. First few games, semi-mixed bag, but we can see what we're trying, and we feel unlucky that we've kind of not come away with maximum points, but we can definitely see the opportunities. And Mike's setting a that plays to our strengths.
Yeah, it's been a strange pre-season, what with everything going on in the world, and I'm sure everyone's in exactly the same boat. But I think we've had a pretty good shot at it. I'd say our first few league games haven't gone perfectly, and I would also say that our general hockey play, we probably haven't been quite rewarded with exactly the amount of points we should have, but that's sport. If we don't put the ball in the back of the net as many times as we should do in a game, we're not going to get the points we should do. So on the flip side, I could say we deserve the exact amount of points that we've got because we haven't been as clinical as we should. So hopefully...
But I think getting that EHL spot, we were really disappointed not to play playoffs last year. I think as a group we felt we were in a great place to play Surbiton. And there's a few boys...
The restrictions of COVID and having to deal with that, but I think we've come together really well as a group and, you know, managed the situations as they've been. We've got a brilliant management team here who've done really well to put together a programme that has put us in a brilliant position to compete in this league. Some really tough opposition in pre-season, and we're really happy with how some of the results went, but more importantly, performances were of a high standard, of a high tempo that we want to be playing at consistently. So yeah, pretty happy with the pre-season, and yes, it's gone pretty well, I think.
During our final pre-season against East Grinstead, just a tear kind of through my calf that's gone into my tendon, so I'll probably be sidelined for another 5 or 6 weeks. So the joys of commentating are with me for a few more weeks now.
Well, let's hope this one goes well then. If there's any inconsistencies between what we're talking about and the VTs that you see with this show building up and trying to start it from pitch side here at the Dragons Lair, sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, so we don't necessarily see the pictures. So if our comments don't quite match up with them, please bear with us for now. But that Old Georgian start has been mixed. Is there anything that you'd pick out at this moment in time that you've seen that you think they need to focus on today?
I think going forwards we've been excellent in creating chances. I think we can be a lot more clinical in front of goal. We were very good against Durham, but there have been a few missed opportunities. And again, corners, we're really good at creating opportunities, but again, being a bit more clinical in front of goal.
Well, that's some things they need to work on. Let's see some of the highlights from the season so far for Georgians. I think we've got some images to show you.
Holcombe finished one place and 11 points behind Old Georgians last year, so this would be a good test to see where both sides started the campaign. Holcombe's top scorer from last year, Nick Banderak, opened the scoring in the 5th minute and then doubled the lead with another straight strike in the 16th. A penalty stroke was awarded for a foul on James Tyndall as he was in the act of shooting early in the second half, and no surprise, Ashley Jackson stepped up to score high to the keeper's right. Sam Ward then smashed in the rebound to level up the scores. It was all headed for a draw until the final play of the game, with Banderak stepping up to claim an opening day hat-trick. The University of Durham's first match in the Premier Division was at Old Georgians. James Carson fired the home side ahead in the 10th minute, with Tom Carson doubling the advantage in the 24th. James Carson then added a third shortly before half-time. The home side ran away with it after the break, James Season, before Sam Ward scored the first goal of what would become a hat-trick by the 64th minute. After that, there was still time for James Carson to add his third and Old Georgians' 8th. With Hampstead and Westminster's pitch being relayed, their home match against Old Georgians was played at Reading and saw James Tyndall put the visitors ahead in the 27th minute. Josh Kelly levelled it up early in the second half and there were no further goals, so this match ended 1-1.
So some fabulous play so far from Georgians this season. That play set up the league tables as we see them. Georgians sitting in 5th at this moment in time. We can see that 1 win, 1 loss and 1 draw. University of Exeter, however, very near the bottom of the table. What will concern the University of Exeter is goals conceded versus goals scored. It reflects their historical position. Yes, they've been in this league for longer. However, unfortunately, they concede on average twice as many as they actually score. Georgians' goals over time, 74-4 against 44 against. So they basically flip that the other way round. Far higher scoring than the University of Exeter. So they're going to have to get their defensive lineup sorted out if they're going to cope with performing today. Griff, looking at this, Exeter have been in the league for longer. Old Georgians' aspirations, they've come up. They now want to dominate in English hockey, basically. Having spoken to a few members around the club, that's the idea, EHL and further winning titles. What do you think we're going to see this afternoon?
Yeah, great question. I think having been part of a Loughborough University side, you kind of know what they're going to expect to kind of do. They're going to be very fit, work hard, extremely hard. It'd be interesting to see if they set up man-to-man or zone to try and use that fitness against Old Georgians. So I think they're going to be very well organised, having spent a lot of time together, and I think they'll be extremely fit. And let's see what they can do on the ball.
And as the teams just start to get themselves into those final huddles, sort of players that we might be looking for on either side who could create problems for each other?
Well, I think you've got to look at the Old Georgian side and pick out a few key players. So obviously Ashley Jackson, England and Great Britain's all-time leading goal scorer. He'll pose a few threats. Olympians such as Dan Shingles, and then right half, particularly James Aubrey's been causing carnage this season so far, as well as Tyndall scoring a nice finish last week. So yeah, should be a good game.
Well, for the University, Duncan Scott's been highlighted as one of their absolute key players that they'll be looking to just to control things and keep a lid on it, understanding that they want to just dominate or dictate the passage of play. Speaking to them before the game, they're delighted to claim that actually 6 of the Old Georgian players today have come from the University of Exeter, so they're a proving ground if they like. They've got a fabulous programme in their minds that develops players capable of then going on, if that's the case, to playing for the top clubs in the country. We are just moments away from that pushback. University of Exeter and Old Georgians substitutes away back to their benches. Umpires for today, Ailey Green and Nick Paget will be taking control of this match. The early exchanges and their part in them vital, just to make sure they set the lines so both sets of players understand what can and cannot happen. I'm sure both teams will come out trying to just impose themselves, try and take free hits quickly, trying to make sure that they control and dictate the pace of the game. Both sides ready to go. About 30 seconds before pushback. What do you think the pace of the game will be, Griff? Here we go, taking it early.
Yeah, again, as I said, I think Exeter man-to-man, that tends to speed up the game. If teams sit at zone, it can be a little bit slower. But as a team, we try to kind of use the zone to really inject pace into the game when we win the ball and counter-attack.
Well, there was that counter-attack turned over. Shingles with high pressure. In the end, Jackson stepping forward. That's an easy intercept. A bit fortunate for the University of Exeter. Messam taking it down with some pace down the right-hand side. Chased back by Page. Great ball across the park. Real pace. Slap ball in first time. Jackson back. Had to get the first touch. Shoulder to shoulder out in that far corner. Carson just putting the tackle in. And Tom Carson just going overhead, trying to find that lead run. University of Exeter still sitting with that back 4, Chris. Being forced to drive that forward. Is that a tactic that Georgians are going to try and lure someone into carrying the ball forward?
Yeah, so I think quite often teams either tend to step really high to press or drop off, and that is, as you said, to kind of lure teams into kind of false sense of security. You think you've got more time on the ball than you actually do. As you just seen there by Exeter, really sort of allowing it into that pocket and stepping in and pressing.
Georgians by comparison at a back three. Sanford coming forward, sees the overhead pass. That'll get blown for being contested space. Exeter favouring this right-hand side. Good driving run down there. Pulled inside, getting towards the edge of the circle. Lovely little dink into the D. Badgett, however, arm outstretched. That's a Georgians free hit, but beautiful cut inside towards the top of the circle.
Yeah, great skill, and as you said, Exeter really look at it today. Started the game well, and I think definitely trying to right their wrongs from the last 3 games of the season, so set up for a cracker today.
Shingles on that fast, finds Carson in the circle. Carson just rolling around, staying on his forehand, goes back out for the shot. Seeger Green, somehow that bobbles between his pads, getting those kickers together just enough to take the pace off it. I think it went through the University of Exeter goalkeeper.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to check the VAR on that. I think that rolled directly along the line, so almost close to going in.
Atkins finds a crossfield pass to Cunningham. Cunningham just looking forward. Good setup in the post, but great step in front by the University of Exeter. Good movement through those lines. Duncan Scott with that head protector on. Sanford, though, reads the pass directly into the circle.
I think we've seen early on in this game both teams sort of setting up at half court and zonal, so it could be a really, really high-paced counter-attacking game, and whoever takes their counter-attacking opportunities well.
Well, Sanford created that opportunity with a fabulous run all the way from back to front. In the end, it's Tyndall who goes onto his back foot to smash it past Seeger Green's left hand upright. But that's a 70-yard supporting run from Sanford, causing all sorts of trouble because he just wasn't tracked. We can hear the coach for Exeter University saying, secure it, secure it. It just felt like that was a high risk, but as they come forward, they've got away with it. Jackson comes out with the ball. For the University of Exeter, they just need to be careful as they drive into that pocket. It seems like they're inviting that turnover.
Yeah, and as I said, that's kind of the plan of Old Georgians, is to kind of think that you've got time on the ball, and then as soon as you receive it in a pocket, bang, that's when you get 2 or 3 players around you. And as you said, he's trying to stay secure, which obviously wanting him to kind of keep it in that pocket or shift it quickly.
Georgians certainly looking for quick, early free hits, getting the ball away on turnovers. Looking for direct passes, both Tyndall and Carson happy to stay high to provide those points to distribute to. University of Exeter just calming things down a little bit. Finally they get out from left to right. 3-pass transfer though, does enable Tyndall to get across, and he gets a stick on the ball. Shingles inside him, Shingles can get his eyes up, passes into the circle. Play breaks down, Luke Brown getting back into the middle of play. First rotations just to the right hand side of our commentary position. The intensity in these first 5 minutes has been international standard. Simple running, it's a lovely little turn and ball popped in field, getting the free hit off Cunningham.
Yeah, I think we could see quite a lot of subs today with the pace of the game so far.
Well, the first 5 or 6 minutes have been brutal. It's been up and back, and just Sanford's run, if you're doing 60-70 yard shuttles up and down, it's going to be tiring.
Yeah, I think this is where we need to take control of the game either side, because if it ends up like this, you'd like to think the University side could...
Scott gets a chance, in, wins the first corner. It's an ugly chase tackle from Tyndall, just reaching round, and it's just that 50-50. If it's not absolutely clean, all of a sudden it's going to cause a problem. Well, Tyndall's still trying to make his point, however the decision's been given. Obviously no video referrals in the Premier League. Talked about VAR earlier on. Certainly I think our system was better than the football one, I have to say.
Yeah, I think so.
So just the delay on this first corner, the team getting their protective equipment out from the bag so they can get it on. Everybody with the masks and the gloves. It wouldn't surprise me if Sanford's running one. He does it internationally. Looks like a double castle lineup at the moment. Affects the angles of the runners.
Yeah, so tend to send one runner, and he'll just adjust really quickly to whichever castle it's going to.
So Pinner with some final words behind that Georgians defensive line, dictating where he wants his runners to go. He'll have 2 or 3 defensive setups that he can call. University of Exeter, double cast at the top, wide right, supported on the left. Out hard, stop clean, in, long drag. Takes touch off Sanford, but University of Exeter still got the ball under control in the circle, and they win the re-award.
Yeah, great running from Sanford. That's time and time again he does that for club and country, and that's shown why he's number 1.
It's such a brave line to run as well. It takes a certain mentality to get that tight and that close. I mean, he's had horrible injuries from it, with bones in feet and lower legs and all sorts of things that take him out of the game at times. He still continues to do so.
Yeah, I think that's kind of testament to the character he is. As you said, some nasty injuries, but he's willing to do it time and time again.
Georgians defence set. University of Exeter's attack. Same castle, stop clean, wasn't quite as straight. Pinner with a big left leg through. Across with that left pad, safe clearance. Georgians defence reset. Exeter just get players back into the right positions. Carson denying that easy outlet. Exeter do manage to get their great slap ball in with some disguise, but stepped up from behind by Cunningham. Strong reaching one-hand tackle, and Atkins resets.
Yeah, I think long corners could be a big part of the game today. Obviously, it's a great opportunity to kind of inject pace into the game. As you saw there, very well done by Exeter, getting the ball deep into the circle early on.
It looked like Carson was trying to deny that ball back, but if you go out to that wide space, then obviously you deny it. That's a great takedown from the overhead. Driving in, cuts in field onto the backhand. Seeger Green with a left foot save. Out to the top play, back in by Carson. There's Georgians' first penalty corner of the afternoon, but what a fabulous takedown from the overhead.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the threat and skill that I said earlier about James Albury. That's what he brings to the game. Fantastic bit of skill to get in there, and a well executed shot and a great save.
So Albury trotting out, the man who took down that overhead pass, trotting out to get the injection. We got Shingles stopping for Carson. Tyndall first slip, just jogging out to knock the ball away. Jackson with a stop from T'other Carson. Two very different flicking styles for Georgians, but both very effective. Carson with a longer drag, charge down, somehow the ball stays alive. Albury tries to get that between his feet, past Seeger Green. It stopped on the line with what looked like a foot, but the whistle had already gone.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there. I don't think it hit a foot, but probably bone for dangerous.
That'll be an extra ball. Good advantage from Nick Paget. Carson had just gone in on Duncan Scott's space. Duncan Scott finds the ball around to the outside. Ball played back inside. First time slapping, and Pinner lets it go. The supporting run into the middle of the goal from Jack Knight just needed a touch.
Yeah, I think Exeter are looking really, really dangerous going forward. So, as I said earlier on, if we can keep it tight defensively, it should be a really good game as we're watching so far.
About 11 minutes through this first quarter of 4. If we have got any hockey newbies joining us today, 4 15-minute quarters, replicating the international game. Teams will get a brief break between quarters 1 and 2 and quarters 3 and 4. Sanford's pass, Arise, Scott reads it, picks it up, they go forward straight away. University of Exeter, good long leads out in front, stretching play out to the right-hand side for Evans. That is right, I checked that beforehand. The cliche is so good they named him twice, isn't that what has been said before? Ball played in, little touch, and it will be that long corner that you talked about earlier on, Griff.
Yeah, I think with these long corners, you either tend to try and go quickly to kind of catch the defence off, but as you just saw there with Exeter, just sort of taking their time, making sure they've really got a good structure before they play.
Do you find if teams don't really focus on process and outcome, in games like this you can actually get into overspeed? It becomes too quick because each side is challenging each other physically, and then you feel that the only way of combating that is to be even quicker. Sometimes it just gets a little out of control.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the pace of hockey, you can easily get caught up in that. So trying to inject pace when you can to try and catch the defence off guard. But as you said, you can get caught up in that. So recognising phases of play and when you actually need to slow the game down.
It's a slap ball in, takes a little touch. Sigurine thought about coming forwards. The Georgians' long corner. Jackson comes up.
Yeah, that's a good example there. Jackson just taking that really quick pass to Shingles to try and catch the defence off guard.
That's a great tackle from Scott again. Jackson trying to just fake that right foot, pulling across left foot, but doubled up on the skill, did the same thing twice. Great one pass transfer all the way around Exeter, finding some space. Just getting down now, Atkins stepping forward, really good intercept as he steps through. He's cutting forward. Oh, I get away with that. I have to say, I thought the first one was going to be given the other way. Albie comes forward, looks for the overhead. There is a stretch of play. Carson deep on the baseline. He's complaining because he felt the defender had impeded him. However, I do like the interpretation of that from Greenwood. It's when it gets into players put their hands up going 5, and you're actually that's just bad skill.
Yeah, with the new rule coming in as well, allowing intercepts as long as you're not sort of going backwards, it can be quite tough. But I think, as you said, you just got to be a bit skillful and just try and pick them.
That's all we want to see. You just want to see, well, rather what I don't like seeing is just kind of going, it's 5 when I missed that first touch. You know what, you were in space, take it down. If it's 3 or 4 at this level, an international level, take it down, play on, get on with it. It's not dangerous. Here we go though, George around the right-hand side, looking for the ball into the circle, deep into that bottom corner, plays it across. Sega Green with a safe right foot clearance. Exeter pinned in back to the direction they want to go. Carson trying to get a stick in there. It's going to be a free hit somewhere. Shingles, eyes up. Don't think that went 5, but it was allowed.
Yeah, I watched a bit of the Exeter Hampstead game, and Exeter did look a little bit suspect during long corners, but it looks like they've really played into the season, and they've tightened massively defensively, and they're looking in good shape.
That's a great overlapping run. Shame about the first touch. Does take a foot, however. George can get it away. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to see the VT, but for the pre-season reflections, for me as a student side, really difficult because you're not going to get your team together until probably 3 or 4 weeks, and particularly with COVID, maybe some even more, so some impact of that. Whereas Georgians had that 6-game pre-season, had that long development spell, both with fitness programs and technical programs. So harder for the university to get up to speed right at the start of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think, as you said, having watched back a few bits of their game so far,
Sega Green comes out, so not a good clearance of the stick, just about gets it away far enough to allow them to defensively carry it clear. Step forward, solid, strong tackle from Fleet, making ground support from Tyndall. Tyndall, I'm sure, will try and get his feet round and bring other players into it. Wins the free hit, but had decided it was hand. So, sorry, you were saying before we broke down that forward play about how difficult it is for the university to possibly get up to speed right at the start of the season.
Yeah, exactly that. Tough to get into the start of the season, particularly during lockdown, having not seen each other for a while. But last few games they've really picked up, and they're looking a good unit.
So back 3 now for Exeter. They've rolled their right half up and infield to try and support through midfield. Great little turn, Shingles exposed. Ball carried straight down the middle. Little left to right, there's a foot in there somewhere. Stick obstruction blown. Good immediate early counter. Shingles yet again on the ball through the midfield channels. Finds a beautiful hit pass out to the left-hand side. In for Carson. Carson just trying to get the ball clear. surrounded and swarmed by 3 white shirts.
Yeah, great counter-attack, trying to go quickly there. It's really, really good to see.
Atkins, Dinkinfield goes to the push pass in, gets a touch from Tyndall, stepping in front of his defender. The faintest of touches. Aidy Green absolutely certain that it had been touched. A hard push pass in from Atkins, seeming to penetrate straight through the heart of the defence.
Yeah, I think in those sort of situations, that route one, trying to get the ball deep into the circle early, something that a lot of teams try to do, which we've done well there.
And as a forward, the discipline to just hold really deep until you get either that visual or physical connection and then step in front at the last minute, just the defender doesn't know where you are.
Yeah, spot on. So I think a lot of players playing in the forward position tend to feel like they have to run around the D a lot. But as you saw there, the sort of experience of Tyndall there, just to sort of hold, as you said, and then dive in last minute just to get in front of his defender.
Well, it's the faintest of touches. We didn't hear a touch from over here, but umpire Green right on the spot gave it straight away, and there was no defensive objections. And we get down towards the end of this quarter. For anybody who's watching, I'm wondering whether the umpires will blow it, because I've got 18 minutes on my watch. There we go, there's an extended first quarter. I'm fairly certain on social media somebody will tell us whether they're... I'm fairly certain it's 15-minute quarters, not 17 and a half.
Yeah, it's international 15. I think they taken a leaf out of the European Hockey League and gone for the 17 and a half quarters.
Hey ho, it went past in a flash anyway. But I think, unfortunately, that draws to a close your first quarter. Are we handing over? Is somebody new coming in?
I think passing over to the trusty Northerner, Andy Bull. So hopefully see you later in the game. Thanks, Simon.
Thanks for insight in the first quarter. Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. So the teams go back into their huddles. Some words. High-paced first quarter. Old Georgians with that Tyndall goal, just a little touch in from the Atkins pass. Gives them that 1-0 lead. But Exeter will be happy with how they've set up so far. They've injected some pace themselves. They haven't sat back and invited pressure. So just a few words, possibly thinking about going from that back 4 to a back 3, enabling them to get more players into midfield. But delighted to the handover. Chris Griffiths has stepped out. Andy Bull stepped in. 19 caps for Scotland. Your second season at OGs. What do you think of what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I think it's been a pretty good game so far. I think we've got to give a bit of credit to Exeter where it's due. They've come out, they've had a game plan to start with, and they've stuck to it and definitely caused OGs a few problems, that's for sure. So yeah, I don't think there's much give between the two teams at the minute, but whether that will change with the break, it's always nice to have that sort of quarter time when you can put a few wrongs right and come out flying from the start of the second quarter. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Anything glaring that you've seen from either side, but George, you know them better obviously, that you think they should look at or focus on?
I think in those pockets, just in the midfield there, that's where we're sort of looking to try and win the ball from a couple of screens. Like I say, the Exeter boys have done well in there. They've turned and they've managed to play forward, and that's something that we're trying to negate. So I think if we get a bit more pressure on those players in there, we'll be looking to attack forwards and yeah, get a good few wins from that.
Well, let's see how that pans out. So 1-0 to Old Georgians at the start of this second quarter. Exeter University playing with a fairly regimented back 4 from left to right in front of us in that white strip with the green socks. Georgians maroon shirts and shorts, as Jackson just takes that backhand crash ball across on the middle of his calf. He'll try and jog that off. He's put a hand up to say that he wants to be substituted. Talking earlier on about with Chris about his hero Grealish, and I think Jackson, if you want to pick somebody out up there, the little short shin pads, the socks that long way down, if we put a little headband on him, we'd be getting somewhere close.
I don't know, I think you've got to question who our Mason Mount is then, really, don't you, if you're talking about Grealish, but...
Carson picks up, Peels, rolls in field, needs to get the ball away. It's good, strong defensive tackling from Jake Payton in the end. Driving forward, staying on his feet. Exeter, a bit of space down that left-hand side. Good cut in field. Sanford, one-handed tackle. Scott, so far for Exeter, seems to be able to create a reasonable amount of space for himself. And if you're in that sort of game situation, would Georgians or a team look to be putting more pressure on specific playmakers, or keeping the shape and structure that they would normally play to?
I think we've got to keep that shape and structure. I say we know we understand those players that they're in there, their strengths, and how we try and sort of take those strengths away from them. But I think if we get too focused on those individual players, it can sort of detract from the team shape, and I'd say that team shape is what's really important for us at the minute.
Shingles chasing back, just plays the ball back away to Atkins. Atkins looking for the first time ball for Tyndall. Tyndall with a wry smile, suggesting that he's possibly not that quick anymore. Would have taken a full-out sprint from a player probably 10 years ago, Tyndall, possibly, and possibly not even then. Good turnover. Exeter, ball under the arm, tries to play it into the circle, chasing back. Cover defending from Cunningham as he rolls out and around, but gets robbed. Exeter back in down the baseline, try and take it past Atkins, don't do so. Georgians being forced back down that right-hand side. Exeter tussling, contesting those bottom pockets. Step back into midfield, finding the space. Good overlap down the right-hand side for Georgians. They got space. Exeter forcing to track back to the head of their circle, trying to just congest things. Lovely little classic jab tackle from Evans. Evans just knocking the ball away. That's proper old school tackling, that, isn't it?
That is old school, yeah. Bring back the jab.
That and the hit. Should we do both of those? There's just not enough of that a minute ago. Dan Shingles coming through that right field. Beautiful right to left. Proper classic 45-degree hit. None of this slapping stuff. Get your hands through it. Scott, space out to the left-hand side. Forced to check back. Unfortunately, not able to connect with Archie Winter. I'm talking to Chris earlier on about sometimes when a game is this quick, and it does feel pretty quick, that you can get into overspeed. How do you then slow it down and compose it a bit more?
I think it comes from a few of those experienced players. They say when you sort of realise what's happening with the game.
Ball in, lovely turn on the backhand, still getting it across Sega Green. Sega Green extended left leg backhand from Carson. Carson was falling away then, just didn't have the body shape to get the clean connection. Into backstick as he went through it. But it's that speed for Georgians at the moment from about 35 metres out into the University of Exeter circle that's causing real problems. Between that, Exeter very, very competitive. That's a lovely little dummy. Lovely and competitive. But that speed of outletting on turnover, something that's been really impressive. Something that's worked on?
Yeah, definitely. We're trying to be direct as possible. That's the thing. When we're not looking to hold the ball as much, it's that direct.
Carson picks up the overhead, tries to get it across Sega Green. Sega Green outdoes very well Carson. You could see he was just trying to pop it up to get it over the top of the sprawling goalkeeper. And that feels a little bit like the difference between the two sides. Whilst it's pretty contested in midfield, whenever Exeter get it, we don't see the height from their front line that we are seeing from Georgians. So we're seeing Tyndall and Carson now on a beautiful lead and pick. Brother Tom also up on that baseline. It feels like they've just got a little bit more confidence and therefore stretch compared to the University.
Yeah, definitely. It's trying to open them up, trying to open that extra bit of space, and so we need those forwards nice and high to do so. Otherwise, it's really congested, and this is a great example now where we played nice and direct. We realise the space is there. Great pass from Carson. He gets ahead and he joins. And
beautiful hands from Tyndall. Fabulous. And the ball up off the goalkeeper. There's contact on the baseline between Sega Green and Carson, but the hands, the delicate nature as Tyndall came through that right midfield channel, Exeter really scrambling to cope with it.
Lovely carry from Tyndall there. See, that's making up for that half a yard that he might have lost. Talked to him about that sprint, but he's still got the hands, hasn't he? He's still got that lovely carry, as you just seen there.
Only Georgians' second penalty corner of the game so far. think Jackson's come back on after going off for that injury, so be a change of routine at the top. Still double Castle. Tom Carson on the left, Tim Atkins on the right. Not a renowned top flight flicker, Tim Atkins, but provides in terms of what he's done over the years.
Yeah, I think he's deceptive. That's Atco's sort of niche. He does have a good slider on him, so yeah, it can cause trouble for those who sort of don't really realise.
To the power push.
I didn't want to say power push, but yeah, almost a power push.
Right, Carson for the first penalty corner that Georgians had. He's still on that left-hand Castle. Opens the goal up to the goalkeeper's left. The right as you look if you choose to pull it in. It goes across to Tyndall. Tyndall pulls it through, and that's a great save on the line. Looked like it was behind Seeger Green, so it's Kieran Walton who seemed to take that. Didn't see a clear touch, but either the goalkeeper or it's a great stick on the line.
I think it was a great stick on the line. Yeah, that postman's nice and brave there.
Good roll back, Tyndall. Just trying to get into the circle as quick as he can. Unfortunately, not 5 from the University defence. Very, very difficult for them to make the 5. Tyndall picked the ball up immediately and drove around the edge of the circle. And as defenders, you're just trying to scramble and get out of the way. But at some point, if you just run into each other, you just simply can't get out of the way. Nothing deliberate about it.
No, it is difficult, like I say, that 5 rule. But that's just clever from Tyndall as well. You know, he knows what he's doing there. Yeah, lovely, lovely carry once again.
Well, Tyndall got the ball away on the slip flick from the last routine. Did very well to be strong enough to get it through the defensive runner. University of Exeter seemed to get a little bit of pressure on him, but having got it through that defensive run, it went past Seeger Green's left hand and was picked on the line by Walton. Same setup. Double Castle out to Carson's Castle. He pulls through it. There's the flick we're talking about. If you're on that left-hand Castle, it opens up the goalkeeper's left if you can get the slider away. He does so, beats Seeger Green's left foot and the postman down low. Georgians 2, University of Exeter none.
Yeah, lovely flick from Carson there. Such a difficult height as well. I think even, like I say, the postman stayed there. He's nice and brave. Good line. But, you know, that height makes it difficult, and that's one of the ones that Carson gets a hold of. And when he gets a hold of it, you know, it's a really, really good flick.
So by our watchers, about 28, 29 minutes gone in this game. Old Georgians double their lead. First goal, that delightful deft tip-in from Tyndall after the Atkins pass. The second, as we just saw, Tom Carson from that left-hand attacking Castle opening up. Lovely little interchange. 1-2 for Exeter. Drive round the baseline, trying to get into the circle to win something. In the end, Georgians coming away from it as Cunningham chases back and denies Sam Patterson any joy. Shingle's a little bit fortunate, still retain possession. Does do so for the free hit, blown for backstick. So Exeter have played well with real pace through this game so far. Had those early couple of penalty corners, but the danger now is any kind of sort of mental fatigue. If you let a couple of goals in, it just takes off that 5% performance, and then all of a sudden this could become a very different game.
Yeah, definitely. It's for them, I guess, kind of sort of stick at it almost. You know, they've played well, as we've seen with just that circle entry down there, that right-hand side.
Oh, the whistle gone. Tom Duran stepped in very hard into a space. Well, I'm a little surprised nothing more came of that. Jackson went for the overhead, saw Carson high up the pitch. Good defensive take. There's the movement. Little touch under the body. Very good turn. Finds the space down the right-hand side for Exeter. Taylor looks to slap it in, but forces it through Cunningham. Cunningham stays big, uses his reach. But he's being hunted down. Even Sanford in that bottom corner. James Farm trying to help the pressure. The Georgians managing just to reset. So we get another roll of substitutions as this half gets close to drawing to a close. Out from the left-hand side, Atkins finds Jackson, who's back on the pitch after that knock on his calf. Doesn't seem to have had any negative impact on Jackson's movement.
No, it seems to be okay. Although just a little twinge there, I think, because he hopped a little bit, but...
Well, you talked about being direct, or just wanting to be direct. There seems to be a real desire, but also execution. Overhead passes, long overhead passes going over the top of defenders. That seems to be a real deliberate ploy.
Yeah, I think we just picked out Ashley Jackson then. When you've got people in those sort of central areas, you can throw those passes almost a bit like a quarterback. They can see that pass and they throw it with such precision and such accuracy that it's such a strength to have, and it's something that we try and exploit. Exeter do sort of leave those spaces a little bit higher at the minute for OGs, and that's what we're trying to create, really, that overload and the space to play into.
Ball into the circle though, back marking, a little bit of space in front of Pinner's goal. Georgians managing to get some tackles in, but that would be a concerning amount of space to give to an opposition centre forward in the middle of the circle. I mean, there must have been, 2 metres off. As University of Exeter coming down that right hand side, trying to play the ball around. Tackle coming in from Fleet. Final touch, Georgians 1, leading to the Exeter long corner. Exeter just resetting. 2-0 down at this point. They've got that back three, they've got width, they've got angles. Sliding slap, but Jackson reads it like an absolute book. Carson's away, if they can get the ball through. If they don't, Carson will look behind him and go, oh, thanks for that, as he sprinted 50 yards to find the ball actually going the other way. Exeter still counter-attacking the game, full of pace at this moment in time. Preferring that right-hand side. Atkins trying to back away, can't do so, and that's an absolute gift of a penalty corner. So do you have to just bail out of that situation? If somebody's running at you and there's nothing you can do, it's literally, what's the mental process? You're so close, you know that if you foul, you give away the corner, but if you just step away and let them drive through you, then they've got a potential goal scoring chance.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, you've got to step away. I think we know in that 25, if you're within 5, it's going to be a corner. And like I say, with a lot of people having such strong corner threats these days, we know that it's a really good opportunity for the opposition. So if we do step away there, there's always going to be a helping defender or somebody else who's tracking back who can then get pressure to the ball. So yeah, it's a difficult decision, but yeah, for me, I think if we step away there, it's much better for us.
I guess the other negative outcome, if you don't step away, is then the card, so you're then down a player as well as that.
Exactly, yeah.
So Exeter, also double Castle routine. Gone to the left-hand defensive Castle both times so far. This is their third corner, stays with the same thing. It's not a clean stop, there's a back stick in there as well from the stopper, surely. That popped up off the back of Duncan Scott's stick. He's on the ball now, goes in, upright, Pinner, left-hand across. Plays the ball away. Looked like a suspicious back stick to start with.
Did a little bit, didn't it, there? Yeah, I thought so, but yeah, George is sort of speaking to his defenders there. I think he needs a bit more from them there. They're leaving a bit too much space open for Exeter.
Lovely little dummy ball through. It's been read. Fleet steps forwards. Opponent stepping away so as not to foul. Fleet finds Carson. Lovely one-hand touch. He's looking across, cuts in field left to right. Tries to slide the slap into the circle. Takes it himself. He's gone the 5 into the D. Little pop, you'd assume. Yes, along the baseline. And good, strong tackling. Carson with just the one-handed waft, giving the foul away as there's stick contact. University with the free hit, 3 or 4 metres outside the Georgian circle. Go back to that point play. They've done that several times, looking to try and see Max Lowry to trying to distribute. They've gone left and firing it in. Scott past there, touching. There's a goal. In on the tip in. Owen Evans. Evans getting the ball in. Duncan Scott with the hit from that left-hand side. Georgians looking a little bit on the back foot. It went through Ashley Jackson on the direct line. That is exactly what the students needed to close this gap as we just get close to half-time.
They've had some good chances, Exeter, haven't they, really? I think that's, like I say, it's almost, fair enough for their efforts. They've, had some good baseline entries on this right-hand side, and all it takes is that good delivery, a little bit of a tough one, to pick it, obviously, and then a very good deflection. Controlled it well, and, yeah, well played to Exeter.
Well, to be fair, it feels like they deserve something for their endeavours. I know you don't get anything for sport just by deserving it, but they've created enough. Now they have space down the right-hand side yet again. That's a great chasing tackle. Super pick with a bouncing ball from James Albury as he came back on the run from Ben Fox. Exeter again, able to get all their players into their opponent's half. Transfer opportunities if they don't get robbed. Contact just stepping through a little bit heavy. Ball forward, little one-handed touch. Sanford having to come forward, also one-handed out to that left-hand side, using his pace and his reach. And recycling, setting it up for Fleet. Trying to play through, takes a touch from Exeter. Got on route one again. Half a touch. And Georgians forcing Exeter all the way back onto their own baseline. Set up for the long corner. Nick Page on the ball, overlapping run. Down that left-hand side, out in the reverse, trying to pull it back in. Clever little first-time ball, gentle. Looking for the opportunity, it's off Tyndall's foot, but Exeter given the chance to counter. Whilst we've enjoyed the George counter-attacks and getting into the circle, it doesn't feel like they've got consistent, clear shooting opportunities onto Seager Green's goal, really. What do you think they need to do to create just that tiny fraction more? I just pause there as Exeter come into the circle, pulling it back across. There is a touch in, just somehow. How has that not gone in? It looked like it had gone past Pinner.
Circle, pulling it back across. There is a touch in,
from Exeter.
shot.
You can see they've had some good success and they're plugging away with it. And they're unfortunate, or should they be taking that chance to score?
And that's the sort of chance, particularly at this stage in the half, as the clock ticks down. That's the sort of thing that you'll look at as a forward. You look at that and go, how did that not go personally? So does that have any mental impact? But from a team perspective, those sort of chances, that would have evened it up pretty much going into half time.
And that's it. Yeah, if that goes in, does it change your half-time team talk as well? Does it make it easier for the coaches? Does it not?
Well, I asked earlier on during this half whether you pinpoint specific players or whether you just keep doing what you're doing. And whilst we'll talk about Georgians in a minute, for Exeter, they've done well. I mean, staying pretty much as they are. There's a couple of little areas where it feels like they're drawing pressure on them, but they have made inroads down this right-hand side.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've obviously stuck to the guns. They've stuck to what they're strong at, and that's playing through those midfield lines. And yeah, like I said, real fortunate to miss that chance at the end. I think they'll be sort of ruining that a little bit. But no, like I say, they're sticking to what they're knowing, and it's working. Like I say, is that old Georgians that need to make a little tweak to how they're pressing or how we're outletting that kind of difference. But it'll be interesting to see how it comes out for that second half.
Well, with that case, for me, the one thing that Georgians have done consistently well, they've thrown those overhead balls, and Exeter are going to have to make a decision as the time ticks down whether they stay in those aggressive front marking positions that just gives that opportunity to drop it behind, or whether they're going to step away to cover that danger, but then that opens up the midfield. It creates that uncertainty, doesn't it?
It does, and that's what we're almost after as OGs, trying to create that uncertainty. It's great to have both options. I think that's the thing. We've got the high ball, but if a team drops off and creates a space in midfield, then we can open up that space and play through there as well with smaller connections.
Well, both sides went at it right from minute one. Very high-paced and intense play. Old Georgians took out that 1-0 and then that 2-0 lead, pinned back by the University of Exeter to 2-1, and they'll be ruining that missed chance that somehow went past Pinner's left-hand post that should have seen them going in at 2-2. But it's Georgians with that slight lead. I think we've got some highlights for you from that first half.
You're amazing, Josh.
What happened next? Oh, we missed.
Well, I think when I first joined, it was straight out of the school, so we're talking many moons ago, probably over 20, probably 21. So, and then kind of took a bit of a sabbatical and came back. And the reason I came back is I said I always had kind of the pride, always had that mindset of wanting to come back and give back, because the club did so much for me pre kind of my international career that coming back it was the only option. If I stepped away from the top league at the time, that's why I was coming back. It was the only place that I would sort of come back and play.
I think it was the new project, and you know, I'd not played for too many clubs in my time, and I'd been at Reading for 7 years maybe at that point, and a few things had changed in my life in terms of kids and family and things like that, and I think that it just seemed like a good time, having moved here to teach at the school, at the college. It was a perfect time to really just try a bit of a new project really, and something to freshen it up and sort of almost not renew my hunger of the game, but just a different thing to try out really, and something different to focus on. And you know, when OGs approached me and sort of mapped out the plan for the club, I just thought it was really exciting to be part of something that could really go somewhere.
I think there's a number of reasons. One was my brother was already playing here, so it's quite a natural transition to when I was playing out in Belgium to then come back to play in England. It was nice to play with him again. But I think probably as important was the ambition of the club. The club have real big ambitions to not only do well within England, but push within Europe. And I had that experience playing abroad, so to hopefully push into Europe with OGs was really great.
The ambition, just as Tom had said, I joined them when they were in conference, and you could tell when I joined the players that they had, the players they brought in, the aim was to be Premier League, top four, challenge for Europe, and that's what I want to do. I want to play in Europe.
I was a player back in the day, so I came here when Nicky Thompson was coaching in 2008-9, and loved it. It was good fun, good club. You could see that they played hard, and they were certainly a lot of potential there. I think they went through some ups and downs over that 10 years, and then when we came back, the chairman asked me to take the job. I declined. I didn't think the club was at the right place, but as we chatted and as we kind of went forwards, I realised that it was probably the right time to do it, and it was a good challenge for me. So always been good people here, always been great family club, and now exciting times.
When we started to win, we started assembling a squad, and it was just a really good feel, good vibe, quite an old Georgian feel. The values are massive to the club and the people that are involved. And then you just see people have wanted to get involved. So people are coming from the centralised programme, they're coming from other clubs because they can feel something's happening. And I think that's the main thing. But one thing that's crucial is actually the club ethos. It's the club, the first team down to the super vets. People know each other, people talk, people engage. Yes, we're in a funny time, but we still want to know what the result.
Welcome back for the start of this, the second half of this Premier League game at St George's College, Weybridge, between the University of Exeter and Old Georgians Hockey Club. Half-time score 2-1. Old Georgians took the lead for a Tyndall deflection, then a penalty corner from Tom Carson to get it 2-0. And the University of Exeter came back with a fabulous ball in from Duncan Scott for Owen Evans to put it inside the far post for 2-1. They then missed a gold opportunity just before the break to take it to 2-2, but Georgians starting this second half here. A lovely little movement from Aubrey as he drives down that right-hand side. I have my third co-pilot of the afternoon to join me. We've gone from Chris Griffiths through Andy Bull. Now delighted to be joined by Lee Morton. Tom Carson just reaching, now goes one hand around the edge of the circle, tries to pull it back, finds a chance. Seeger Green with the left foot save, taken down safely by the University of Exeter. That's a lovely little dink into the turf. Once this slows down, Lee, I will introduce you properly, I promise. But until somebody puts a stick on it and just takes some of the pace out of it, Fleet looks to go out to the left-hand side. So yes, joined in this second half by Lee Morton. Your second season here, 61 combined caps across Great Britain and Scotland. Pro League appearance in 2019, Commonwealth Games and the Euro, so a wealth of experience. Why aren't you playing?
Good to be here. I think it's been a good game so far. Yeah, not playing at the moment. I've got a slight issue with the hamstring, so you're looking about 2 weeks out. So probably won't make the game next week as well, but hopefully be back for the Brooklands game after that.
I'm delighted that you could offer some insight. The guys in the first half also just giving us that little bit of colour and depth as to what's going on. Exeter University breaking 1-on-4 at this moment in time, driving pretty straight at Sanford, who takes the ball and then rolls in field. Out onto the forehand. That's a lovely turn. Good vision. Sanford takes it in, still one hand, a space out on the left-hand side for Georgians. They find that space. Sanford still keeps going, back up to the top of the D. Carson rolling into the edge of the circle, finds the foot. What a counter-attack from Georgians. And it's something they focused on, but that's just exceptional.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's a key thing that Liam Sanford likes to do. You know, he likes to get the ball, he likes to drive forward, he's a very attacking centre-back, and I think that was key there, because then he got the height that then Tom Carson actually had that space for the 1v1, and he's done well just to put it on the foot, and they'll be hoping to get another goal like they did in the first half.
And sometimes as a player, it's running to not get the ball, so it's running to create space for somebody else. It's kind of a change in mentality for what your average Saturday player would be trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a key part as well now. It's especially at this level, just creating that space for the person on the ball that then gives them a passing option, but also that option to carry. And I think that was a good example there that probably didn't offer the pass as much, but it gave Tom Carson a 1v1 on the edge of the D.
Well, and that 1v1 led to the penalty corners. Georgians with the same setup, no surprise. Two Castles at the top. Tom Carson on the left with Shingles stopping. Right-hand Castle. Atkins working off a Nick Page stop. Dragged out, left Carson again, Carson in, looks to go high. What a take that is. That's the lineman who's picked that almost directly above his head. Seeger Green was standing there watching it, waving it past his left hand. That's two fabulous saves to the University of Exeter on the line.
Yeah, it was a great flick there from Tom. That's what I would say, it's going top bins, and like you say, the guy on the line's just been there to back up his goalkeeper. Great stop on the line.
University of Exeter now being forced quite deep. Old Georgians able to get to probably 40 metres out from their opponent's goal. Atkins on the right-hand side provides an option out, but it's then played across down the baseline. Exeter trying to get the ball away, and it was a steal by Carson. Very close. Exeter going up and over the top. Fleet reading it. Lovely little bit of awareness to step forward. Very easy to, if you're not involved in the immediate play, just to hold back, and you need your defensive line to be aggressive.
Yeah, I think he initially backtracked and then started to redeflate the ball, and like you say, he stepped forward to take that, and then unlucky not quite getting that connection forward.
Now Tormont on the last defender. Shingles cuts to the left-hand side on his backhand, plays across. Now, having seen a couple of things in pre-season, Shingles doesn't score many goals apparently, but that is a beautiful backhand past Seeger Green's extended left foot. University of Exeter turned over in midfield, but that's a great finish.
Yeah, and as you say, that's not a thing we expect to see from Dan Shingles, but he's had a good few opportunities in pre-season, but he's obviously just been saving it up for for the season to start. That's another one to add to the tally.
Well, to give him his due, Shings has led that pressure through midfield, that midfield press, getting the University of Exeter to just turn possession over. That time, just being pulled forward. It was Kieran Walton who stepped forward with the ball, just ran into contact and got turned over, allowing Georgians to counter. That's a great ball across from a falling Aubrey. He's taken a hit on his knee as he's done it. As the ball carrier, really important that you recognise if you're over carrying. So for Exeter, they kind of got drawn into having to carry it. At that point, how difficult is it, or how do you affect that? Just stop and not cause more problems?
I think for me, it probably comes in before he receives the ball. Just that pre-scan, realising, is there pressure coming? If so, then you're probably looking to get that in and then ship it back out. But like you say, that's probably Dan Shingle's key part of his game. You know, he's really good at pressing the ball, coming in with those shave tackles.
Georgians have missed it. Are they going to get Exeter? Do get it? They're deep in the circle. It's kind of the baseline though. They'll be disappointed. Kieran Patel unable to get that ball back under control after Sanford had missed it. It's a great ball from Ed Carson. Shingles finds a space out on the left-hand side. Played in first time into the back foot. Little looped. Bobbled lift over the defender's stick into the circle. Patel again picks it, cuts in field. Carson chasing back. Contact. Play breaks down.
I think good skills from Kieran Patel there as well. I played with him at Reading, two years ago. I think when he was 17, really good hands. So I think, yeah, that's kind of where he wants the ball. Bit tough with 1v4, but again, he want to take that on and try and beat the opponent.
Oh, you know, Exeter again getting stolen. Carson knew exactly where that space was. Great move. He'll go far post. It's not a clean hit for Georgians as they go across. Messam trying to get the ball across. Carson had seen the opportunity and gone towards a far post for the tip-in, but it wasn't clean contact. Dan Shingles picking lines for picking the ball up. Unfortunately, in these days, we're not allowed to do that, so COVID regulations. Manager Johnny Stevens coming into a round of boos as he then similarly picks the ball up. It'll now go and be completely sanitised. I'm not sure we got that on camera, but rubbing it under sanitizer like some sort of golden egg. Stanford providing the outlet. Good save from Seeger Green. Mistouch defensively. It looks like Exeter just sitting a long way back.
Yeah, and I think that's very different from the first half. I think first half they actually came out, they pressed, and they were looking pretty strong. I don't know if that third goal's maybe just kind of knocked the sailing out of the wind, or wind out of the sailing. Yeah, and I think they're just struggling to kind of regain that composure. I think here's the prime example.
They seem to be carrying the ball through dangerous channels. I agree, that third goal has kind of unsettled them a little bit. We were talking about just before half-time, if they just got that second. I appreciate you are old Georgians, but looking at it from just a play-by-play perspective, if they got back on level terms, I think it would change the start of this half. Sanford tries to go under his arm. Carson a little bit harrying and hassling. Neither side at that moment really certain as to who the free it was for. Patel was looking through. Exeter now have got a bit of stretch. Good overhead, they find the baseline. Sanford, that's an all or nothing tackle. Reaching on the reverse, you missed that, that's got corner and card written all over it.
Yeah, absolutely, a good tackle, but like you say, if you don't make that, yeah, corner and card, and he's had to time that perfectly, and luckily has. But I think Exeter are now starting to keep the ball and they're not driving into situations where they can't win, which I think is why they're starting to get a bit more into this game here, whereas at the start they were kind of taking 1v4s, 1v3s, and again the success rate there is probably not that great, so they're looking a little bit better now that they're keeping the ball.
So is that about still trying to stretch the play, but when you get it in that 1v4, recognising that you've got the ball high, you can affect the opponent's defence, and then you're playing it back to bring other people into it?
Yeah, I would say so. I think when you get the ball, there is space ahead, so carry to it. If you get a 1v1.
Good moment there, 1v1, exactly that. Carson just stepping in a little bit too far. Exeter on the ball. Patel again looking just to get it reset, being forced back, and that takes the sting out of the counter-attack. Now Exeter have the width out down the left-hand side, just in front of us, if they choose to use it, but that's forcing themselves backwards. It's that fine line on a pass between front foot and back foot that can just keep or kill them momentumly.
Yeah, definitely, and as I was saying just before they got the 1v1, which they're looking like they're going through again, when they're carrying to space, if they have a 1v1, it's quite a good option to go. But what's tended to be the case in this second half is 1v4s. I think they probably would look to try and bring it back out and then just have a build-up phase of play as opposed to a counter, which is what we've seen for the start of the second half. But they're starting to get a little bit better Exeter, and they're trying to build up a little bit more.
Atkins just stepping on the stick of his opponent, Jacob Payton. For anybody who was listening to the first half, we got a bit confused in our timing, so I apologise for not absolutely knowing what the rules are. There's no surprise to a lot of people. It's 17.5-minute quarters because we're not stopping the clock for penalty corners. So having said the first quarter felt long as it clicked through 15 and 16 minutes, no surprise, because it was meant to be 17.5 anyway. So there we go, we cleared that up for everybody who's listening because we're not stopping the clock on corners. Oh, just half a metre or less in front of teammate to create that overlap opportunity.
Yeah, I think Exeter there, if they made that connection, they had a really strong chance of getting something there. They had a good number overload, but as you said, just didn't quite get that connection.
But when you're in that phase and you've got momentum, it's so important that the actual pass is in front of where you're trying to go to, because just that putting onto a back foot or whatever just kills any opportunity. And at this level, with the players, the athletes being so quick, it can just die in a moment.
Yeah, I think it's just that weight of pass just being correct.
Albury finds the ball in. That's a great ball in. Seeger Green diving, gets a touch. We were right down the angle of it. It was going wide anyway. Carson's hit. However, Seeger Green wouldn't have known that. And the question will be whether either side can continue to compete physically at the same level. That's awful from, oh, it's got through, but that was an awful running hit from Sanford, straight down the throat of Exeter University in the middle of the pitch. We both had a wince as that ball was played.
Yeah, I don't think you'll want to watch that one again. That was a bit too close for comfort.
Unfortunately, with the level of analysis that Georgians that I know do through their head coach Mike Hughes, I think he's going to be watching it again at some point.
I'm also surprised at how quiet Mike Hughes was on the side. I was expecting to hear a sharp, loud voice there.
Carson pulls it back round the back, looking for a foot or a pass inside the circle. University of Exeter pin back into that bottom left-hand corner. Albury just creating trouble. That's really well played out. Composed, controlled play from Exeter. Back in, finds the ball down the middle. Is there pace? There is. Eyes up. Pinner coming out. What a pick that is from Sanford on the one-on-one. Charlie Taylor did not see him coming. He had his eyes up looking at Pinner. Somehow Sanford's reached in there and just taken the ball off the end of his stick.
Yeah, 2 points. I think the Exeter player kind of took his stick off the ball for a brief second that allowed Sanford to get in there. But again, I think that's one of those ones. If he doesn't win that, maybe looking at a corner on the card. But yeah, that's why he's such a good defender.
It's just that. You're absolutely right. I agree with you completely. That if you're reaching from there, he was behind the line of his shoulders. He's coming over the top of the ball. So from an attacking perspective, really important to keep your stick right on the ball when you're driving through.
Yeah, I would say so, and I think if you know that pressure's coming from behind, you maybe try and cut in front so the defender's got no chance of winning it.
Well, the one thing that we hadn't picked up on, Lee, that has changed, just walked past us behind the bench, which Duncan Scott is not playing anymore. So having bossed Channels in the first half, I thought he was exceptional for the University of Exeter. He's now looks like there's a bit of a limp on there. Doesn't look like he's going to be coming back into it. He's got a tracksuit top on, his head guard is off, so that makes a massive difference.
Yeah, I think that he's one of the key players, the key ball carriers. Like I said, I know him, I know his brother, and they're both very good on the ball. So I think that's a big miss, and that's maybe why Exeter haven't looked as great on the ball this second half. But yeah, big miss, big miss.
Duran just turning in midfield, nice little composure, skipping off his toes. Stepping forwards, Tom Carson unable to take that, just suggesting that's gone off his eyebrows. And Luke Brown, player, stepping in front, good defensive lines. We missed that, Lee. Soft penalty corner. No idea. Insight on what that was?
Well, I think Tom Carson was driving down the baseline. I think he's spun. I think it's been given for a foot. That's all I can think of. But again, I think Exeter weren't quite set up to defend that free hit, and they've allowed him into the D very easily.
It's one of those moments that you kind of look at it as a commentator as a player, you go, I genuinely have got no idea why that happened. So everybody have your interpretations of what that was. The defence didn't object, so you assume that the decision was right. Nick Paget right on top of it. So, Old Georgians, 5 penalty corners so far. 2 fabulous saves off the line, one on the slip flick, one from a straight flick on that left-hand post. Player who made both stops, I think, was Kieran Walton, who's not on the pitch. He's standing beside us on the sideline. Carson once again on that offensive left-hand Castle. Duran on the right-hand Castle. Carson yet again picks it up, in he goes through the ball, left foot save from Seager Green. Carson trying to get his feet around it. Other Carson, that is. Ed Carson wins the free hit. The defensive intensity being placed on him wasn't fair, and therefore the free hit, the offence given. Corner number 7. Roughly at this level, what sort of corner conversion rate would you be targeting?
I think at this level you're probably looking at maybe a 1 in 4, maybe a 1 in 3. But again, it just depends on the team you're playing against. Some teams in the league have really good defensive corners. But I think the key thing is if you can hit the target, make a save, and like there, it keeps it alive.
Oh, corner number 7, left-hand Castle, another opportunity for Carson, goes down low to left, but that's a great sweep clear like lightning. Max Lowry getting that ball away. Georgians not happy that it's gone past one of their players. I don't think anybody even blinked. Exeter with numbers, that's a poor pass though. Georgians now counter-attack, they've got space. Duran on the right, finds Aubrey in the middle. He's got his eyes up, cuts in field, sees a straight pass out on that left-hand side. There's a pick and a hit and a touch. What a counter-attack goal that is. From the top of their own circle, it's James Carson with the final touch. What a fabulous attack. Inspired step forwards defensively. And then what was that, 4 or 5 passes? Brilliant.
Yeah, I think a very good counter-attack, and Exeter actually had a real good opportunity to attack there, but James Cunningham stepped in there. You know, we like to call him Mr. Bin Juice. He got the ball there, stepped through, passed it forward, and yeah, again, quick pass left, quick pass into the good flat ball from Nick Page, and then Jimmy Carson sliding in to put it in the net. Really good counter-attack.
And a killer time to score as the whistle goes for the end of that third quarter. So the score's 4-1 in Old Georgians' favour. Tyndall scored the first, Carson the second from a penalty corner. Shingles with a rare goal for the third. Jimmy Carson with that fourth sliding tip in. Exeter with just that one goal. Owen Evans and that miss at half time. They'll be ruining. Georgians now bossing it, but it's the speed of the counter-attack, the decisive nature of what they're doing. Both sides still trying to go at it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think the big one, it probably comes down to his decision making. You know, Exeter there from the good defensive corner have a chance to counter, and they've just tried to force that from the right all the way to the left, and it's allowed the OGs to win it back and then counter themselves. You know, they committed numbers forward. That's a hard way to get back. So, yeah, I think it's just come down to decision making there.
I suppose bizarre things. If you've got a penalty corner as a defensive unit, just purely numerically, if you manage to not concede, you've then got 6 on 4 at the other end of the pitch. But you're kind of getting to that counter-attack. We talked about it with both the other guys about trying to play too quickly. Was the ball that was played in, that we saw up here for Exeter, that James Cunningham stepped in front of, was it the right ball in terms of intention of where they're trying to get? Or from there, would you be looking for a bit more around the outsides and then coming in later?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I think the right idea was to come infield, because if they went down the right, then it's stuck down there. Whereas, rather than play that pass, I think maybe they could have driven inside, then that gives them the left and right options. And rather than it being, what, a 20-yard pass, it could be a 5 or 7-yard pass. So I think the intention was right, but whether it had to be done that quickly, like you're saying, is another question.
So whilst again you have that OG's focus, from an Exeter perspective, if you were in their huddle, what would you be expecting to be said? What do you think they need to do more of or less of?
I think just take care of the ball a bit more. Like I say, they have opportunities to get forward, and they've shown that. It's just been that final pass that's lacked quality. If they can just keep that nice and simple and make it stick to stick, they've got enough players to try and get some outcomes in the D.
Well, they need to certainly create something in the circle pretty soon. They're trailing by 4-1 with just this 17.5 minutes to go. That third quarter went past like an absolute freight train. It did. Sanford, the running that he did, created the space for that third goal. Infield, good spin through. Nice little lifted ball movement down that right-hand side. Mark Lockery just creating opportunities, but robbed in the end. Exeter taking it back infield slightly, finding the space, but the one-handed movement. Tim Atkins trying to shave tackle, unfortunately failing. Ball into his feet. Reset and transfer. Exeter still, the one thing that always concerns me, or has concerned me all game, is they still have this fairly regimented back four. So they split the fullbacks. Better now because they're pushing the halfbacks higher up the pitch, but when they're almost in a flat lines of 4, it feels like it's wasting a player.
Yeah, and I also think, you notice they might start to have it now, but they're lacking that screen pass just in the centre mid. So, I mean, if they do lose the ball, they're really open to the counter-attack. And I think that just draws in another defender from Old Georgians that then they can try and maybe play around. So, yeah, at times they're looking a bit flat, but I also think they're missing that screen pass.
So that's that the centre midfield is kind of just effectively, from what we see from the sideline, it feels like they're just running away a little bit. That's a great run forward from Fleet. Finds that Tyndall doesn't quite get on it because there was an edge as it came through and lifted it. But yeah, if you've got that big hole in the middle of the pitch, you've essentially got nowhere to go. You've got the passes are then outward to the sidelines, and the sideline itself creates a barrier for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one of two things. If there is the space there, then I think as the centre back on the ball, you can carry forward.
Well, the call being to come out of that bottom corner. Tyndall in the end gets on the ball and forces the free hit. Resetting down that right hand side. Atkins just providing the outlet. Shingles now has rolled out of that midfield position into a deeper place, just setting up some angles and some shapes. Stanford able to carry it. Lovely push, slap pass off his right foot on an angle into the top of the circle. Exeter coming forwards, but they've got no stretch. Players sprinting away. They've got it though. They can get a cut in. They've got a player in the middle of the circle. If they can get it across, it is across. Pinner out and scrambling. Exeter now with numbers. If they can get the ball across the left, they have done. It's an aggressive step forward from Fleet. Ball carried in, little touch outside the D, able to play in, tries to go for the little lift. Shingles, strong and flat, coming out from his penalty spot to affect that. Carson now absolutely on the lead. Is he going to find the lob? He goes one-handed. Hits Seeger Green in the face, doesn't he? Yeah, I was going to say, the first one, the second contact just looked like he smashed the goalie in the face.
Yeah, I think what a great ball from Tyndall, you know, just over the top on the run. It's a tough skill to do. And yeah, I think for Tom Carson to get the first touch on there was really impressive, big stretch. And the second one, don't know if we go for a swing or he's trying to get a stick on the box on a really good position, but again, yeah, really good counter-attack from Old Georgians there.
I think for any side, yes, it's effective there for Georgians, but if you've got a high player who, as soon as you go through midfield, absolutely puts on the afterburners and just sprints, it creates all sorts of mayhem for the defence.
Yeah, it just kind of drags them out, so rather than them defending maybe 20 yards of space, they're doing 30 or 40.
Lovely little cut in field on the reverse rotation round. Unfortunately for Lockie, unable, and then cuts it in on the backhand. Carson takes it down and absolutely spanks it into the goalkeeper. Hand-eye coordination. Lockery a little bit fortunate, possibly the backhand pass across at waist height, not to be blown.
Yeah, and I think on the hand-eye coordination there, the Carsons love the cricket, so even you see it a lot with Jimmy or even Ed. Anytime there's a bouncing ball, they're there to smash it.
I think we're going to find a card there. Yeah, Chingle's picking up a card, just left his foot in to deny Exeter University that quick break. Tyndall went to ground. Chingle's got his stick caught up with Tyndall, but then a bit of a trailing left foot. Cynical but professional.
Yeah, I think you can look at that too. He's either really unlucky or it's intentional. So yeah, the green card's acceptable. But yeah, tough situation because he didn't have his stick because it was tangled. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that one.
Missed touch. Something you don't want to miss on your backhand, going up down the middle. Aubrey again. Now eyes up, beautiful carry position. Finds that long ball to Carson. Drops it infield. Lovely little interchange with Tyndall. Tyndall rolling round still. Hands in and out, left to right. Thinks about the first touch, and that's penalised for either the stick contact or deliberately knocking off the baseline. Max Lowry having to get somewhere near it as Tyndall drove through. Are they going to see a card as well? Nick Paget having a conversation with James Tyndall. Could have been asking for a penalty stroke in there, could he?
I'm not too sure. I don't think he's really going in on goal. I don't think it was much. I think it's a corner. But yeah, I wouldn't say a penalty stroke. I wouldn't say a card. But great skills from Tyndall there. You know, it's really tough to get the ball. And he disguises that he's going to go from left to right. And he just drops that shoulder and then goes on to his reverse stick.
Well, certainly not a man you want to be giving a shooting opportunity, a hit shooting opportunity for inside 10 yards, because he absolutely mullers it when he gets the chance.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a guy that can hit a ball so hard, and there was one against Holcombe last year from almost baseline.
One Castle out to the top, stopped, goes across for the slip. Tyndall tries to get the ball away, goes in his backhand, it's flat, it's hard. Scramble defence from Exeter, 50-50, ball is up. Left hand save from Seeger Green, does very well, bouncing off his toe toward corner.
Again, I think you got to say good defence from Exeter. You know, the OG didn't really execute that well, but again, then Tyndall on the backhand, he's hit that at good pace across, and you've got that low block in, and just unfortunate that then they've conceded another corner from it.
There just wasn't enough speed on the movement, on the transfer as it came from the top of the circle, and they'd gone to just one Castle. It was predictable where the move could come from. Back on two Castles. Tyndall now offering to stop. Atkins goes in from the top of the circle with, I think, what Andy will call the power push earlier on in the first half. It's that deceptive slide. Pick up from Duran down the right-hand side, drives and tries to flip it into Shingles. It's cut out on the backhand. Kieran Walton just playing that ball away. More rotations as we get probably halfway through this final quarter. Both sides having started the game so quickly. We saw the first rotations after only 4 minutes. International standard of substitutions. At that level, you see between 70 and 80 rotations every single game. The sides today, not seeing that many, but certainly making sure that players are fresh because they want to retain that physical intensity. Lovely little ball inside, finds Shingles right on the end of his stick. Extension, one arm, comes into the top of the circle. Can he get more? He does get more! Shingles, for whom goal scoring isn't something that'll be at the top of his hockey CV. He blasted a reverse just halfway through this game. He's then dribbled in and somehow popped the ball through a crowd of players past Seeger Green's right hand. He must have been unsighted with defenders crossing over in front of him.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what we're seeing here. Dan Shingles has got 2 goals. Don't know the last time that's happened, but again, really good skills. He had a strong carry position, and then I think he then just popped that over the defender's stick who's come out, and what a finish. Just a little flick into the net.
He's got a brace, he has, as he's come forward through those channels. A new white ball's come on because the pitch is just staining up the white balls a little bit, turning them a little bit blue, not making it as clear as the players would possibly like. Sanford looks to step up for the overhead, doesn't go. Atkins setting up, slide pass. What a ball that is for Carson, just trying to come back and post up, but the distance was just a little bit too great. We see it so much, and we kind of take it for granted when commentating, but the deception that you guys and the girls themselves can get on those, is it a hard skill to develop with the deception and the power to play that over 50 yards, but in a way that's almost unreadable?
Yeah, I think it's quite a complex one, and I think when I'm coaching at school, a lot of the kids ask me, can we learn on the disguise sweep, and I think it's a good skill to have in the locker for those instances.
Great takedown on the overhead, really super crossfield ball, and Exeter win a corner. Was messy in the Georgians' defence, crossover and lack of communication between, I think it was Aubrey and Carson. Didn't get their lines right. Ada Green, the umpire, just signalling for a stop in time, as once again that big bag full of protective equipment is emptied. Exeter really need to get something here. You feel the game's away from them now at 6-1. How to get themselves back on the scoreboard. As we said right at the start, OGs historically have scored twice as many as they've conceded. Unfortunately, University of Exeter are the other way round. They tend to concede twice as many as they score, which belies where they are in the leagues at the moment. Those statistics are absolutely in the league table. But they'll be looking... I stand corrected, it's 5-1. My notes are incorrect. I've got people with more goals than they've scored, as my producer says in my ears. Anybody's watching that? I wondered who scored the fifth, thanks for that. Out to the top, clean stop, long drag, going in for the tip in. Disappointing when you are goals down, 5 goals to 1, and then you put it on your opponent, on your teammate's foot. You assume that's got to be this OG's ball. Whilst you can step into that channel, it's got to be a clean pick. Lovely little run forwards. Aubrey just threatening, great shave tackle. Sticks caught up. So that 5-1, just to recap, Tyndall 1-0 with a tip in. Carson with his penalty corner. Great goal. Duncan Scott pass in for Owen Evans to go 2-1. Missed chance to go 2-2 half time for Exeter. Shingles for 3-1 on the backhand. Carson then with the diving deflection. And then Shingles just moments ago running through that right midfield channel and finding that last minute pop over the goalkeeper. Heavy challenge. You feel that Exeter are going to get that free hit, and they do. Ed Carson unable to get back in. Shingles going back in. Tom Carson. Brilliant defence from the forward, coming back in, gets his hand down low, finds a clean pass out. Jimmy Carson on the right hand side tries to go inside. Tyndall ran past to create space. Carson just wide of that far post. Dead flat. All it needed was a tiny touch from Aubrey inside that far post, and they just stretched their lead. All because a forward chooses to come back, gets flat and controlled in the tackle.
Yeah, and as I say, I think with good save. But yeah, I think Neil, when you talk about the forward getting high, it's not always to want the ball. It just allowed that space for Jimmy Carson just to carry, and I think Aubrey will be a bit disappointed he couldn't get his stick flat in the ground to tip that in.
Good intercept, superb understanding, one-on-one as he got wheels, not enough. Sanford back, that's a nice little reverse bunt out to that right-hand side. Carry one-on-one, Sanford still on his toes, overlapping run. Carson yet again all the way back. Tom Carson doing some fabulous defensive running to intercept the heart of the Georgians' defence. Roll back. Good attention from Charlie Taylor, just not giving Georgians any easy opportunity. A fabulous burning run from Nick Page into the middle of the circle, read by Taylor Seeger Green. He stepped out, left foot clearance. Tyndall had gone long. Page was trying to do everything he possibly could to get in front of the opponent's goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think you spoke about wheels there, obviously looking at that pace to get ahead, and I think that was the difference. Exeter breaking through. I don't think their players could keep up. They might be a bit tired, but you had 4 Georgians players sprinting back, and ultimately he just got outnumbered, and that kind of broke the counter.
Which is interesting, because the one thing you would normally attribute to university teams is exceptional fitness, because can be essentially full-time athletes. Exeter, Durham, Bristol in the past, all in the top leagues. And I've missed a few. I apologise for those people who are listening, for those that I've missed. But it does mean, as we get a lovely crossfield ball, that we can see that great pass. Tyndall high, he's going to get a bat through it, surely. He does, and that's a brilliant bit of goalkeeping from Seager Green with his left hand, because Tyndall had time to swing and took it.
I think what was really key from Seager Green there was he came off his line, kind of blocked that angle. I think if he stayed on his line, then...
I don't know where that's hit him, but whatever it's hit it hard. If he's got a stick on that, that's a brilliant bit of goalkeeping, because Carson has smashed that on the backhand.
Yeah, he's got some serious power behind that, and I don't know where he saved it with, but as long as he's done his job of keeping the ball out the net, that was an unbelievable save from Seager Green.
I've got to assume it was stick, because if it had been helmet, he'd have been on his backside with his ears ringing. But it certainly sounded pretty, it sounded like a stick, didn't it? There wasn't enough rebound for it to be foam. So the chances keep coming for Old Georgians. They're bossing these phases for Exeter. It's few and far between, really, in terms of the ability to get that high possession. Difference being, it feels that Exeter are being pinned back. And that's a corner, unfortunately. Sam Patterson looking forlornly at umpire Nick Paget, but his back foot, trailing foot, was just over that white line. You just look at it and realise, oh God.
Yeah, I think just a bit of tired defence there. You know, it's stick maybe not quite fully on the ground that allowed the Old Georgians player just kind of drag it into his foot. And yeah, again, I think they'll be looking to try and convert this corner. Again, get another one, and I think maybe even work on some routines, or just give the flickers a little chance to get some reps in.
Well, Tom Carson is on. Talking of flickers wanting to give it a bit of a rip, Tom Carson is on that left-hand castle. He's got the support of Tyndall outside him on the slip. Atkins on the right-hand castle. Deceptive slider from Atkins, pulling that save out from Taylor Seager Green just moments ago. Exeter a little bit delayed getting their protection on. Setting up 3-on-1 defence, blocking the space to Seager Green's left-hand side, the right side offensively. Same castle. Tom Carson going across, slides it away, misses the post, harmlessly thuds into the fence. The scoreline remains the same.
Again, I think that's one of the key things. If you work hard to get a shot corner, you've got to be hitting the target there. That's a let off for the Exeter defence, and yeah, I think key things: hit the target and keep that ball alive in the circle.
Patel had asked for that ball earlier on. It was a little bit of confusion between the two umpires. Both of whom, you have to say, have umpired very well, because we haven't spoken about them at all. And that, whilst that sounds bad, that's exactly what the players want. They want a game that flows. They want nothing to be controversial, contentious. Tyndall tucks that inside, but it's going to come to nothing, because that is the final whistle. 4 quarters, 17.5 minutes each have flown by here at St George's College in Weybridge for the Premier League game between Old Georgians and the University of Exeter. Well, it started at a ferocious pace, both sides counter-attacking backwards and forwards. The scoreline was open. Tyndall with a lovely deft little touch for 1-0. A penalty corner goal from Tom Carson for 2. University of Exeter got back on the score sheet with an Owen Evans goal. They missed an opportunity right on the stroke of half-time, and then after that it was pretty much all about Old Georgians scoring prowess. Shingles getting a backhand, much to the delight of all of Old Georgians. Carson then with a diving deflection, and then Shingles running through for 5-1. Entertaining game. Second half was well past Lee. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think a really good game. I think Exeter started the first half really well. I think that third goal was kind of the killer. That maybe just dampened their hopes a little bit, and then from there I think it just became kind of the key difference of decision making in the counter. Both teams had lots of counter attack opportunities. I felt Old Georgians maybe made some smarter decisions. Exeter didn't quite get that final connection, and like you say, I think Duncan Scott going off was a key miss for Exeter. But overall I think a really good game, and I think Old Georgians will take that. It's good for them to get a bit of goals, get some goal difference up. And I think for Exeter, I think their key thing here is probably not a target game. So try to perform as well as they can, and and like you were saying, keep that goal difference as low as possible, because I think that might be a key thing come end of the season.
We just also saw a shot of Ashley Jackson limping off. With the three of you who've accompanied me today, that's part of an injury list. Obviously we have Sam Ward not here. If Ash was also to pick up an injury, how deep is the squad here at Georgians?
Yeah, we've got a really good squad. And I've been working a lot with the second 11, and there's a lot of guys there that could step up. We saw a few here today that have stepped up, you know, Elliot Messam, James Cunningham, boys that are most likely, on most weeks have played twos, but they've stepped in, performed really well today. And I think we didn't see Ashley Jackson in the second half just because he was nursing that. And if it was a tight game, maybe he might have, but I think when it kind of got a bit more comfortable, he was just resting up, making sure there was nothing major.
And that counter-attacking desire, the direct nature of what you guys are trying to achieve here, it felt like it changed a little bit in the second half, but as the game kind of went away from Exeter, it's probably not quite that intensity. But your thoughts on the effectiveness of the direct route one passes, the overheads, and the stretch you seem to get in your game for the counters?
Yeah, I think the stretch was the key part. I mean, if you can get that initial height, then you're always threatening to score against the opposition. But yeah, I think it's key. It's a lot easier to work hard going forward than it is coming back. So if you do the hard yards going forward, you're more likely to get results.
Well, this game this afternoon has been entertaining from the very first whistle. It started off with some fabulous pace, both sides standing up toe to toe. We've had some incisive comments from all three of our colour commentators today. We started with Chris Griffiths, and Andy Bull joined us for the second quarter, and then Lee's been with us for the entire second half. I hope they and you, Lee, have enjoyed being with us for what will hopefully be the first of many streaming services we do through Galvanised Hockey for the English Premier League, both men's and ladies. We'll see how that goes. If you've been listening and you want to put comments through on any of the Galvanised media, social media channels, then please do so. Any feedback you want to give us would be great. But it's a game that started at ferocious pace. Old Georgians got a lead to start with. Exeter pulled back into it, missed a big chance, and then the second half really was all about Georgians. The highlight, the talking points in the bar will probably be the fact that Dan Shingles has managed to score 2 goals. But we've got a lot of highlights for you. Thank you for your company this afternoon. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope to be back again soon.
Back at, and then I know that next week we're in trouble with the press. We'll sort it out.